Hello. Thanks for joining me again. And this is another one of my little record stories. And this time it's not about one album, Eagles, by Eagles. Temptation to say by the Eagles is quite big. It's a bit like the Carpenters, I believe, are Carpenters, not the Carpenters. But anyway, it's not one, it's two, as you can see here. Well, you can see here if we're both on camera, I'm not sure. And kind of these came out, I don't know how close together they were released, but I got them both together. They were delivered to me yesterday. I got them from a friend David Brook at MCRU Brook Audio, and got them, cleaned them and played them, and they sound bloody marvellous. And anyway, just wanted to run through a little bit about what you get. I mean, as with the others, I've done videos on these things before, so you know the boxes are really nice and stout. David sends them out well packed, so there's no dented corners or anything like that. It's got a beautiful kind of rubberized, very matte quality to the black here, whereas this picture is not rubberized. Anyway, if we go and the limited edition of 7,500 each. But if I open this one up, just dive straight in and show you what you get in here, because we've got two records. There's a lot to kind of cover. So LP, the box lid, piece of foam. Then we get a sort of reproduction of the album cover with the original master recording banner across the top. If I put that down, you can see we've it's a gatefold, or repro of the gatefold. Very nice thing. And one thing it says on here, Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab gratefully acknowledges and thanks these individuals and companies for their technical support and expertise. Tim DeParavicini, Past Labs, Lipinski Sound and Sound Application. Any sonic artifacts present are a product of the original master tape. Attempts to eliminate them would have negatively impacted the integrity of the presentation. That's all kind of quite interesting stuff. The reason I wanted to just mention that, I've mentioned this before now, but sadly he's passed away now, but my friend Tim DeParavicini was involved in setting up their tape machines, I believe, and acting as a technical consultant all round. And the quality of these, which I'll get onto, is stunning. I would say second to none as far as vinyl records go. Or at least that's second to none that I've heard. I know there are some other extremely rare and wonderful things out there, but I haven't heard everything. Who has? I certainly haven't. Anyway, another sheet, which frankly I don't know whether this was an insert on the American original. I don't know. Maybe, or the UK original for that matter. I just don't know. Anyway, now here we have. This is their technical kind of explanation of their one-step process, which again I'll just go through very quickly from the master tapes, and it's worth bearing in mind that all these records are pressed from the original masters, or what they're sent, maybe the original, but more than likely a production master made from the original or something. But anyway, a very good source. So, whereas in most cases, you take your record, your master, you cut it on a lathe, and then you plate that, and that creates the lacquer. From the lacquer, you cast a mould, which is the father. From the father, you cast a mould, which is the mother. From the mother, you cast a mould, which is a stamper, and then from the stamper, you press the vinyl, whatever you want to call it. So we've got, in terms of, this is a cutting process here, and that's a moulding process, that's one. 2, 3, 4. So you've actually got 4 moulding stages. On the Ultradisc, Mobile Fidelity's Ultradisc thing, you have this start with the tape, create the lacquer, exactly the same way. From the lacquer, you make a mould, which they call the convert, and then from the convert you make the vinyl, the LP that you play. So we've got 2 moulding steps versus 1, 2, 3, 4 moulding steps. So there's half of the process is involved in terms of moulding, which is well, as they say, the removal of 2 steps in the plating process or 2 steps of generational loss reveals more musical detail and a dramatic reduction of surface noise. And I would add an increase in dynamics and it's just they're vastly superior in my opinion. Anyway, back to what we get. So I take both of these out. So this is the bottom of the tray, and you've got a nice piece of foam in there as well. So one of the other things worth mentioning is these are cut at 45 RPM. And I think they're cut at 200 gram vinyl. Might be, oh no, it's 180 grams. I would like to point out that I don't think the weight of vinyl has got very much to do with anything. You can get a incredibly well pressed 160 gram LP or a bloody awfully pressed 200 gram LP mastered from a CD. These things happen. It's not about the weight, but record companies and they like to sell things to you, so they'll convince you what's good when it has got nothing to do with or little to do with anything. Anyway, so if I just go in here, nice sleeve. Take this out. This is something that Mobile Fidelity have always done actually, which I really like, which is put another sleeve, another cardboard stiffener inside. That's just folded over, but it just keeps everything so much nicer. And then you've got these beautiful archival quality Mobile Fidelity Sound Lab record sleeves. Now I'll take the record out of here, and here we go. Now because it's 45 RPM, so we've got we got side 2 there. So side 1, all we got there is Take It Easy and Witchy Woman. So it's you're up and down, changing sides a lot, but the sound is absolutely sensational. Now another thing, it's the quality of the vinyl is really something. Now if I hold that in front of the camera, I don't know if you can see me through there, I don't know, but it is actually translucent. I mean, you can see, I can see certainly here where the grooves on the other side of the record end, and so you've got the run out, and it's just Mobile Fidelity's always used very good quality vinyl, and it's always been very slightly translucent, and I mean I don't know, this is probably the best sounding vinyl I've heard, but vinyl's a funny thing. I'm really not convinced I like the sound of coloured vinyl. I think clear vinyls I've heard can sound awful. That's not to say all of them do, but I can't think of one that doesn't off the top of my head. I know Analog Productions are doing some clear vinyl, sort of very high quality pressings. I haven't heard any of those, so maybe that's different. But anyway, it's superb vinyl, highest quality I'm aware of. It's cut at 45 RPM. Use the one-step process, which removes 2 layers, two processing, two molding stages, and the end result is a phenomenal sounding record, which is packaged in a very, very beautiful manner. Now, I'm not going to say any more about this first album because I'll go on to the other one, which we have here. So you can see how it all packs up. It's just, it really is very, 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 very nice indeed. And again, limited run of 7,500. So that's that. Let's go on to Desperado. Now, obviously, same thing. Limited run of 7,500. Desperado was the Eagles' second album, released in '73, so a year later. And it's, I mean, for those of you, well, I can't imagine many of you don't know the music. I mean, if you don't know the music, go and have a listen on Spotify or Tidal or something. It's really, really wonderful, beautiful. I mean, wonderful, beautiful. It is. It's feel-good music. It's kind of country rock, some people call it. It's definitely, it's sort of, you know, soft, very harmonic, very, you know, melodious, beautiful. Lots of guitars, lots of voices, overlays. It's just beautiful. Anyway, here we go. Desperado. Same sheet here explaining the process. So the one-step process is you know, as far as I'm aware, as far as I've heard so far, I don't think there's a better way of making a record, with the exception of a direct cut. But that's kind of how you get to. It's worth going back to that. So you'll see some direct cut. Sheffield Lab used to do it. Lynn Stanley does it. Chasing the Dragon have done it. Direct cut removes this bit, so you still start the process with your lacquer, but you bypass the tape by going straight from the mixing desk to the lathe. That obviously means you can only do a direct cut of something that's performed live, so to speak, or in one take. And it makes a notable difference. It's very, 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 very impressive. But you know, for the purposes of a constructed piece of artwork like an album that's mixed and arranged and all that stuff, it's not doable. It's simple as that. Anyway, here we go. Desperado. It's I mean, you know, only a year later. It's got some fantastic tracks on it. I mean, Tequila Sunrise and Desperado are the two that you'll probably recognise. But the whole album's really, really, really good. And but I really want to talk about the sound quality because, okay, so here we go. Let's just put it back in this box for now. So here we go. We got a piece of foam, LP2. With its stiffener and its beautiful sleeve, LP1 with its stiffener and its beautiful sleeve, the data sheet telling you about one step, and kind of facsimile of the album cover. Another piece of foam, all fits absolutely perfectly, and the lid. So there we go. Now these cost you about between 150 and 200 pounds, depending on where you get them from. So I got mine from David Brook at Brook Audio, MCIU. I think they're about 170, 180 pounds, I think, something like that. Which you might think, well, that's quite a lot, but then you get quite a lot for it. I mean, you really do. But what I want to do is talk about this, because this is, until this arrived yesterday, this was my best copy of Desperado. Now, if I take it out of its shiny sleeves, you can see it a little bit better. This is a Nimbus Records Supercut, which were made, goodness knows, back in the 80s, I think, for the readers of HiFi Today magazine. Now, these are rare beasties. I've got quite a few of these. I've got Supertramp, Little Feat, Joan Armour Trading. I know they did do Sergeant Pepper's, which I've seen secondhand for, God, I think it was 4 figures. Anyway, this is this is a very nice record. I mean, my copy here is nigh on mint, to be honest. I look after things. No spindle trails, no visible wear whatsoever, and I played this alongside to do an A/B dem, to be perfectly honest, and it's very interesting. Now, in comparison, and these are quite well regarded, these records, these Nimbus Supercuts. In comparison with the new Mobile Fidelity Ultradisc, I won't say how this. Well, okay. The first thing that comes to mind when playing this is it's just thick and muffled and a bit fudgy. I would say that the lead voice on each track kind of has an aura around it, but it's an aura that's sort of like a veil, like a blanket. It's not transparent. It's sort of like the edges of that. The singer is lost very slightly. The guitars, and I've said about the Eagles, I mean, you've got 3 guitarists in the band. There's the guitars, there's lots of, there's pick guitars, there's slide guitars, there's, rock guitars, strum guitars, banjos on some of the tracks, or a banjo, not banjos. There's a lot going on. And the guitar on this can sound a little bit jangly at times. The vocal sounds a little bit, just slightly veiled. And the whole thing sounds a little bit flat. And the bass actually errs towards a slightly one-notey quality. I mean, it's all, bear in mind, this is all, if I hadn't got this, I wouldn't be saying that. If I was comparing this to a regular one, I'd be, oh, it sounds bloody marvellous. Anyway, in comparison with this, the Mobile Fidelity, I mean, it absolutely wipes the floor with this. There is no comparison. So it is notably more dynamic. The background is notably quieter. There is the lead vocal. I mean, every element of the thing is almost holographic. There's none of that blurring of the edges. And one thing, I mean, I listen to tape. I do this. It's a bit of a hobby thing. I run the reel-to-reel Rambler, and I have a lot of tapes. And when you're listening to a master copy, you become very aware of the mix and how the record is constructed and put together, and you can kind of hear all the various stems, threads, elements to it as separate entities that flow together, and you can see how the engineer or the producer has mixed them, or the mixer, to create the piece of work. With this, that's what you get. You hear everything very individually, but you hear it making sense with each other, so that this isn't sort of like a forensic pulling a recording apart. It doesn't sound like music anymore. This is really, really, really enhancing the musical experience. So it's a really good thing. But yeah, the lead vocal is there's a dynamic clarity to it. This almost has a sort of a chesty lower, the sort of lower frequencies of the male voices have almost like a chesty congestion to them, whereas this is just transparent. The guitars are clearer, but without sounding slightly jangly like they do here, and the bass is slightly more weight to the bass. And as I said, it's not one note on this, but when you listen to this after hearing the one step, it kind of is. If you see what I mean, there's much more tuneful, much more sort of timbral information in the bass with this. I mean, it really is better, and I'm quite convinced both of these are, going to be the best copy, the best available version of both of these albums that have ever been made commercially available. As simple as that. I'm quite convinced. Now, a little bit on money and prices. And as I said, I mean, if you think of this as say 180 quid, it is quite, that's a lot of money for a record. But their records are, I seem to have to pay 20 to £30 just for a regular record these days. Seems quite normal. And these are far from normal, far from normal quality. And they, they take up quite a bit of your shelf space too. There's a good inch of spine there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7, 8 or 9 of these already now. But they just sound fantastic. Now this little beastie here, I just checked on Discogs, and this is, if you look at the corners, it's mint. It really is, or near mint. There's not a mark on it. There's only one copy of this for sale, and it's $600, 485 quid. It certainly won't be in better condition than this. It couldn't be. So, I'm thinking I'll probably sell that, because this will pay for both of these and the next one, which I'm kind of hoping is Crosby, Stills and Nash. And the reason I say that is because listening to this versus listening to this, listening to the way the harmonies work, listening to the way the guitars work, the whole thing works dynamically, melodically and harmoniously. It is. This is. It's not my favourite album in the world by a long way, but Crosby, Stills and Nash, their first album. Well, that's not my favourite album in the world. I don't have a favourite album, but it's bloody high up the list. This never really put me in mind of that, even though they're from a similar kind of era and area. But this just smacks of Crosby, Stills and Nash, that first CSN album. It's just it's superb and mind blowing, and I'd honestly say worth every penny. Now, I've been banging on about that more than the Eagles, purely because I've got the Nimbus version of that, which is, significantly rarer and more valuable, but doesn't sound as good. Don't let me put you off this whatsoever. In a way, I almost prefer the Eagles as an album. It's hard to say. I couldn't really choose between them. They've both got this beautiful, like the CSN, kind of country rock kind of vibe. It's just, they're great records, and they're very limited. They'll be sold out within a few months at the latest. They will appreciate in value. I've seen some of the earlier one-steps going for, again, just touching into 4 figures. It's amazing. So they're going to appreciate. You won't hear a better recording of this music, and they're really not bad value for the quality you get. Bear this in mind: 600 quid on the used market, and these are on the used market already as well. I just out of interest, I had a look. Yeah, you'll pick one of these up for 150, 200, 250 maybe, but you can still get them new. I'll put a link down to the to where I got them from in the description. But you can't argue with the sound quality. Sound quality per pound. If you like the music, as I've said before about these things, there really is no other way. That you've just got to go out and get it. It's as simple as that. And the more of these I listen to, the more I'm just thinking, I'm just going to buy them all. It's as simple as that, really is. Okay, anyway, look, I hope you found this interesting. I hope you rush out and get one or both of these, and I hope you really enjoy them as much as I have. And on that, I'll say goodbye. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye-bye.